All right, so we got some breaking news, man. The Giants signed potentially their new starting offensive guard in Greg Van Roten. Coming from the Raiders last year, was a free agent, and we just picked him up. And he visited with the team last week. They didn't make the immediate signing. Obviously, they're probably working out the kinks in the contract and possibly even talking about what his role can be for this team. And I gotta imagine, guys, we might have our new starting offensive guard. And you know what that means? That also means Evan Neal might not be the starting offensive tackle on this team. That's what I'm thinking at this point. Immediate takeaways from it. Greg Van Roten was on the Raiders last year. As you know, we signed their former offensive line coach, Carmen Brasilio. And as you know, we also have John Illuminor. We have Illuminor at right tackle. We're also going to have Greg Van Roten possibly pairing up with Illuminor at right guard. That's my immediate thoughts. Obviously, I just think at this stage for Greg Van Roten with his age, I think he was looking at where can he go and possibly start. The Giants' offensive line was one of the worst starting offensive lines that we had all in history last year. So to kick it off for this year and possibly, we signed John Runyon Jr., we signed other guys like Austin Stinney, a couple other backup depth offensive linemen. You bring in a starting offensive guard last year for the Raiders who played all 17 games and only allowed 13 pressures last year. 13 pressures, ranked 8th out of the all offensive guards all over the league last year. Pass blocking reps, he's very solid, pretty solid what we saw last year. And you got to imagine that Carmen Brasilio is only going to put him in, the best situations for himself to be another good offensive guard to play well. That's what we need. And it sounds crazy to think because once again, man, we've had free agent signings and you've seen guys like Lewinsky come in. He was a solid guard for other teams like the Colts. Then he comes in and he completely wets the bed. Don't know if it's the offensive line coach. I got to imagine the coaching got to be, a pretty focal role on why these guys ended up failing on the Giants. So I can only hope that these guys are going to produce the same way they produce in other, teams. And obviously regression is a thing. He is over the age 30. I believe he's 34. So him coming in, he's not a young offensive guard. He's not a lineman that's going to be here for the next couple of years. But to come in and just, hold down the fort for a while and possibly have that continuity with Illuminor at right tackle, that's what you want to see. And for this offensive line, continuity is probably the most important thing. Last year, it was a revolving door. You had it at quarterback, but you also had it at the offensive line. So that's probably a reason why they didn't perform the best of their abilities as well. But once again, man, the first person you look at is Evan Neal. What is Evan Neal going to do? Who is he going to be on this team? Is he going to contribute on this team at all? That's going to be the question lingering for this next couple weeks. Obviously, we're still in training camp. It's not even for sure thing that Illuminor is going to start at right tackle. But I think the moment Evan Neal starts off on PUP and you move Illuminor to right tackle, when all offseason has been, I'm going to work my stuff at guard. I'm going to try to figure out how to play guard well for this team. And they sign him out to right tackle. I don't see why you would make that switch back. I honestly don't. Barring injury, I don't see why you would do that. So I think they'll end up keeping Illuminor at right tackle. I think it'll be a statement if they do. So we kind of have to wait to see if they do that. But even Brian Daboll talking about it today, they talked about potentially, moving John Runyon Jr. to left guard, even though they plan on him to play right guard to help out Evan Neal. You can see John Runyon Jr. on left guard, so you can slide Greg Van Roten at right guard with Illuminor. And I'm going to be honest, I'm pretty excited now. I'm pretty excited. Now, he's not going to be, there's a reason why he's a free agent. There's a reason why he wasn't a high dollar, free agent that was getting signed by other teams. So, I'm not going to over here think that this is going to be the one key elite move that's going to make this offensive line even better. But I do think it's better than last year. I do. When you look at what we had last year and a couple of the guys that we started last year with Ben Bredesen, and even though he was solid, but Mark Lewinsky, coming in a different role. They had Marcus McKeithen coming in. You got to imagine that we improved at least a little bit. Signing John Runyon Jr., sliding out John Runyon Jr. left guard to go play with Andrew Thomas. You got John Michael Schmitz in his second year. Then you got Greg Van Roten coming in at right guard and Illuminor at right tackle. Hey, man, I think he can get better. And when you're at the bottom, the only direction you can go is up. But I still think, it's probably going to be a solid unit. Hopefully everyone stays healthy. As you know, there's already a couple of injuries. But, Greg Van Roten being signed with the Giants, man, I love that move. Another good depth signing. And hopefully, once again, we don't even want to look at the depth of this offensive line. We just want them to perform and stay together with that starting five group. So, Evan Neal possibly being that guard. Are we going to start seeing that? I don't know. He's still on the pup list as of now. So, we'll see what happens with Evan Neal overall. So, yeah, man, breaking news. Another breaking news, Aaron Robinson got cut. Never got to see him really play for the Giants. I live in Central Florida. He came out of UCF, so I was really excited to see him play. And he never played. So that leaves Azeez Ojulari as the only person coming from that draft class. And one of the few people that got drafted by Gettleman. So there's that. But Stay tuned for the next practice training camp video that I'll be dropping. Love y'all. Stay blessed.